So if you own your own business, or you're a sole proprietor, or maybe you're a partner in a partnership, well, there's something very important that you need to know about self-employment taxes. Now, the truth is, self-employment taxes is one of those complicated topics that not a lot of people understand. So we're gonna walk through it and give you a basic understanding of self-employment taxes so you don't have to be as concerned about it. Now, the first thing you may be asking, what is self-employment taxes? Now, self-employment taxes is very similar to if you have a job. It's the, I guess you say the FICA, the Social Security tax that usually you pay as an employee. Well, when you work for yourself, whether you're an independent contractor, you own your own business, or you're a partner in an organization, you're responsible for paying your own taxes, which means you have to actually either work with an accountant or figure it out yourself is how to take the proper amount of taxes out of your expected pay. Because that's what makes it a little complicated. If you own your own business, sometimes you don't know how much you're gonna make that year. So you have to make estimations. Now, when it comes to self-employment taxes, another very, very important, I guess you say, thing to remember is how often do you have to pay these taxes? Again, if you're an employee, every paycheck your employer is taking, I guess you say, withholding taxes from every check that you get. But when you work for yourself, it's like, okay, how frequently should these taxes be taken out, or how frequently should these taxes be paid? According to the IRS, they prefer that you make quarterly payments. And the timing of these quarterly payments is where you pay on April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. Now, the question then becomes, okay, how much do I pay? Well, there are a couple of ways that you can approach that to make sure that you don't end up in a tax issue with the IRS. You can pay 100% of what you paid the prior year if your tax situation and your income is gonna be about the same year over year. Because the IRS looks at that and says, hey, if you paid, the same amount of taxes that you paid last year, then hey, you know what? You're free of getting any penalties. Now, another way you can look at it is maybe you pay 90% of what your expected tax liability is going to be for the current year. Again, that's going to be based on estimation, so you probably should work with your CPA or accountant to figure that out if you want to go that route. Now, another factor that you have to think about it, because you may be like, this all sounds very complicated. And trust me, as a CPA, I can say it does get a little complicated, which is why it is best for you to work with your accountant to understand, hey, how do self-employment taxes impact me? Am I paying the right amount? Because you don't want to pay too much, but at the same time, you don't want to not pay enough. Because the IRS looks at it and says, if you don't pay enough during those quarterly payments, they actually charge a penalty. And the way that they charge their penalty, it is a little complex. So let's look at an example. Let's say if your tax liability is $2,000 a quarter. So you're supposed to pay $2,000 on April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. But let's say in April you pay $2,000, and then come June you pay $1,500, and then in September you pay $2,000, and then in January you pay $2,500 to make up the difference. Well, when the IRS looks at that, they're gonna say, yes, you paid the right amount in total, but when they look at June, you were $500 lower than what you should have paid, and what they're gonna charge is a penalty on every day that you were $500 below what you should have paid. So you're gonna have a pretty decent penalty because they're gonna charge you by the day. Now, again, self-employment taxes can be a complicated topic. So my best advice to you is to work with your CPA or your accountant to get a better understanding of how does this self-employment tax work in my specific situation. And if you don't have a CPA or an accountant, then you probably should pick up the phone and call one and contact one today, because self-employment taxes is something that you should be concerned about. Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.